Fifth year guard number 11, Katie Guard. Senior guard number 21, Jasmine Watts. Fifth year guard number 22, Emma Fisher. Fifth year guard number 24, Maddie Guard. Junior guard number 34, Tony Phelps. The Titans are coached by Steve Bruce in their 18th season.
Good evening from the University of St. Francis in Joliet, Illinois. Welcome to today's broadcast of Fighting Saints basketball. The Saints today take on the Titans of Indiana University South Bend. Welcome to the broadcast. Terry Bonadonna with you on the call for today's doubleheader. The women's teams go first, the men's teams will follow, and for the St. Francis women, a pretty big challenge today. Indiana South Bend has not lost in conference this season. They have not lost out of conference either. 20-0, 12-0 against CCAC opponents, including a 17-point win over the Fighting Saints back in December. So the Saints will have their hands full for sure, but they do have some good news as well. A couple of injured players are back in uniform tonight. We'll see if they're able to get any contributions from Mia Kennelly and Leilani Harris, who are starting today's game on the bench. The bad news for the Saints is that Bailey Johnson is out after suffering an injury last week on the road. The starters today are Takara Harrison, Lorelei Thormeyer, Georgia Bolton, Talia Pellegrini, and Kiki Gray. IUSB has Katie Guard, Maddie Guard, Jasmine Watts, Emma Fisher, and Tenley Phelps on the opening tip. It's Phelps against Gray, and away we go. The tip is won by IUSB. The Titans are in black, and they go from left to right to get us started today. The Saints in their home whites go from the right side of the floor to the left. First three-pointer of the game misses from Jasmine Watts, and the rebound is knocked out of bounds by Tenley Phelps. Ball belongs to the Saints. They got a defensive stop on their first possession. They did leave an open shooter, but Watts, who is a pretty solid three-point shooter in general, not able to get it to fall this time. Little full court press from IUSB. The Saints are able to beat it across half court. Takara Harrison in control of the basketball. Picked over to Talia Pellegrini in the corner, right back to Harrison. Takara Harrison works her way into the paint. Outside, Georgia Bolton, no good. Both teams got a clean look from the outside on their first possession. Neither one capitalized. Watts doesn't capitalize again, but it won't count against her shooting percentage. Her heel was on the sideline as she took that shot. So a turnover committed by the Titans. Not the crispest offensive start to this game, but we're only 40 seconds in. St. Francis dropped their most recent game. They did pick up a win on their recent road swing, breaking a 5-game losing streak. They took out Trinity Christian 7 days ago before falling at Indiana Northwest on Saturday. So they're trying to win their second in 3 contests here. 6 on the shot clock. Lorelei Thormeyer all alone. Misses the 3. Offensive rebound. Second chance. Gray is up and good. Kiki Gray gets the scoring started. She'll be asked to carry a bigger load with Bailey Johnson on the bench as Phelps misses on the 3. Saints have been fortunate so far. The Titans haven't had their shooting stroke these first few minutes, but IUSB has gotten an open 3 on every possession they've had so far. Georgia Bolton works her way inside, loses the ball. It's taken away by IUSB. South Bend going the other way. Katie Gard on the drive. She's pushed down the baseline, and a foul is called against Georgia Bolton. First foul called today on either team. Obviously the first on Bolton. It'll be an out-of-bounds play for IUSB. And Emma Fisher, fifth-year senior guard, sends it into Watts. Corner three is good. Saints have not put anybody on Watts today. Every possession, Watts has had a wide-open three. It's the first one she's gotten to go. First lead of the game for the Titans. 2 minutes in, they're up by 1. All of the Titans' field goal attempts so far have come from three-point range. Same can be said of St. Francis, other than Kiki Gray's basket, which she got on a second chance off a missed three. There's Takara Harrison knocking one down from behind the line. Takara Harrison is St. Francis' leading scorer this year. She's got her first three today. Harrison entered play today, averaging 12 points per game on the season. Phelps double teamed inside, loses her footing, able to get rid of the ball before traveling was called, and now she is called for 3 seconds. Phelps was out of sorts there. Saints hit her with a double team, and she lost her composure a bit. First lost her footing, then lost her composure, I suppose. Or maybe it was the other way around. I can't tell myself. Again, she was able to get the pass off just before traveling, but then as she got up, she never cleared the paint. 2-point lead for St. Francis. We're very early, but they took a quick double-digit deficit last time these two teams played. Kiki Gray is called for an offensive foul, throwing an elbow at Tenley Phelps. And a foul is called on Gray. Her first and the second on St. Francis. It's a blow to the Saints, who had been starting to get into a little bit of a rhythm their last few possessions. And now a turnover before they can get a shot off. Phelps being guarded on the outside by Thormeyer, gives it up to Watts, off the mark on the three, and out of bounds. Watts continues to struggle with that shot early on today, but another open look for her. The shooting has been less than desired for these two teams out of the gate. First team that gets hot obviously will have the advantage. Talia Pellegrini keeps the dribble alive, hounded by Fisher out to half court. Pellegrini throws it up for grabs, and it's stolen by Gard. Here comes Fisher leading the break. Fisher bounces it ahead. Gard layup, no. Offensive rebound. Another chance for IUSB. It's Phelps stepping into the lane and laying it in. First points today for Phelps, the conference's leading scorer, averaging better than 20 points per game. Phelps poured in 42 the last time these two teams met. Harrison misses the three this time. Rebound tipped around and brought in by Watts. Tie ball game, 5-5. Jasmine Watts tries to give South Bend the lead, working her way inside, out to Phelps. Left wing, it's Katie Gard. Up top, Phelps, three-pointer off the back iron, no good. It did eventually fall through the rim, but it hit the wiring above the backboard and above the shot clock as well. So it was out of bounds before it did eventually kick in. So no turnover, it's just a missed shot. St. Francis tries to get three on their end. No good from Thormeyer. Rebound grabbed by Maddie Gard. Fisher to Watts in the corner. Jasmine Watts drives on Thormeyer. All the way other side, banks it in. Beautiful drive by Jasmine Watts. South Bend has their biggest lead today, 7-5, nearing the halfway point of this first quarter. Hard-fought start to this game. These two sides have gone back and forth in the early going. Thormeyer drives on Fisher, gets underneath the basket. Pass deflected, but it still finds Gray. Off to the left side, Harrison drives, kicks it into the corner. Wide open look, Thormeyer knocks it down. First three of the game for Lorelei Thormeyer. Second made three-pointer today for the Fighting Saints, who lead by one. Good ball movement on that possession for St. Francis. They were able to free up Thormeyer for a wide open look. Thormeyer guards Phelps far from the basket. Here's Maddie Gard. Gard picked up by Thormeyer, kicks it out to Phelps. Phelps stutter step, Works her way underneath the basket, shovels it off to Fisher, who lays it in. South Bend back in front. Good drive by Phelps, setting up the senior Emma Fisher. One of 4 seniors in this starting lineup. 3 of South Bend starters are in their 5th year at least of college. Very veteran squad, a big part of the reason they haven't lost this year. Talia Pellegrini bounces it down low. Gray can't reel it in. Here come the Titans with numbers. It's Fisher out to guard. Katie Guard off balance, no good. Rebound grab by Thormeyer, who travels. Ball stays with IUSB. 4 minutes to play in the first quarter as we see a Mia Kennelly appearance for the first time in a couple of weeks. Kennelly has missed the last 4 games for St. Francis. Back on the floor, coming off the bench today. And that's a nice boost to a Fighting Saints team that has been so shorthanded they've had to go to the softball roster. A couple of softball players have been called into duty as emergency fill-ins these last few games. Mia Kennelly grabs the takeaway but gives it right back. Watts is fouled on her way to the basket. 2 shots coming up for Jasmine Watts. Good defense from Mia Kennelly, but she threw the ball away immediately. Back-to-back turnovers. 3rd foul on St. Francis, and Watts has 2 shots to try to extend the South Bend lead. First foul shot is good for Watts, who's a 76% free throw shooter. One of 4 players for IUSB, averaging in double figures this year. It's a balanced scoring attack. Best offensive team in the conference, not necessarily by number. That's almost always Olivet Nazarene, but in terms of efficiency. Here's Takara Harrison on the left side. Harrison loses the ball. Picked up by Phelps. Saints have turned it over 3 straight times. Here's Guard on the drive. Layup is good. That's Maddie Guard. Maddie Guard able to finish that time. It's a 7-0 run, or rather a 6-0 run for IUSB. They lead it by 5. It's the first 2-possession lead today for either team. Kennelly out to Harrison. Takara Harrison drives with the right hand. Gets to the baseline, works her way around, turn around, rims out. Rebound Watts. Fired ahead to Sullivan Kessler. And IUSB slows it down. Watts picks up her dribble, guarded by Georgia Bolton. Give it to the top of the key. It's Tenley Phelps. Phelps fires down low. Kessler kicks it into the corner. Guard back down low. Kessler in the post against Harrison. Nice move to her right. Off the glass, no good. And a loose ball foul is called on IUSB. Goes on Phelps, going over the back. First foul called against IUSB so far today. And it gives St. Francis an opportunity to fight their way back into it. Trailing by 5. IUSB has scored the last 6 points. Just 3 field goals so far for the Fighting Saints. Kiki Gray back on the floor for St. Francis. Georgia Bolton is on the bench. Here's Mia Kennelly. Kennelly looking for the cutter. Thormeyer was well covered, and now Kennelly's got to get rid of it. Finally, she finds Talia Pellegrini. Pellegrini fires outside. Thormeyer, Harrison. 8 on the shot clock. It's Kennelly on the wing. Steps in for 2. It's blocked. And the rebound grabbed by Phelps. Saints were out of sorts by the end of that possession. The Titans defense really sped them up. Phelps on the drive, taken inside, and Gray got her hand on top of the ball. Nice defense by Kiki Gray, forcing a tie-up and a turnover. Possession arrow to St. Francis.
Kiki Gray on the tie-up. Fighting Saints basketball.
Thormeyer sets it up for St. Francis, walking it to the right side. 2 minutes to play in the first period. Saints going through a drought here. Trailing by 5, it's Thormeyer kicking it out to Kennelly for 3. Rattles around and doesn't go. Looked good out of the hands of Kennelly, did not fall. And now Maddie Guard quickly the other way. No good on the layup. Out of bounds, last touched by Fisher. St. Francis basketball. Been more than a 3-minute scoring drought for the Fighting Saints. but their defense has held steady. Indiana South Bend struggling with their shot early on. They've worked the ball inside a little bit more consistently of late. First 4 or 5 minutes of this game, they really were only shooting three-pointers. They got a lot of open looks, weren't connecting on them. Harrison from the corner knocks it down. That's the second three-pointer of the game for Takara Harrison. Snaps a 3.5-minute drought, gets the Saints to within 2. It remains at 2 as Watts misses another open three. Tough shooting night so far for Jasmine Watts. Saints are trying to take advantage. It's Thormeyer working on the outside, guarded by Fisher. Good crossover, finds the cutter. Harrison passes out of it. Back to the corner. It's Thormeyer for three, and it's good, and the Saints lead. Second three-pointer for Lorelei Thormeyer. And unlike Indiana South Bend, the Saints are taking advantage of their open threes. They've hit on back-to-back possessions. South Bend has had a lot of open shots. They're not falling. That time a contested shot does fall. Sullivan Kessler. Good control inside off a nice feed from Tenley Phelps, who has not scored at her usual rate early in this game, but is doing a nice job setting up her teammates. Thormeyer takes some time off the clock before making her move around a screen from Gray to her left. Thormeyer puts it on the floor, gets inside the three-point arc, kicks outside. Over to Pellegrini. Talia Pellegrini drives. Cross court. Harrison for three. She's already hit 2, and now she's got 3. 9 points for Takara Harrison in the first quarter. And St. Francis is back in front. They've scored in flurries here. They went 3.5 minutes without scoring, now have 9 points in just 1 minute. 5 seconds on the clock for the first quarter. Emma Fisher shovels it back. Three-pointer Phelps. A little bit too strong. Rebound Gray, and that's the end of the first quarter. Really good finish to that first quarter for St. Francis as they scored 9 points over the final 90 seconds. Following, as I just said, a real struggle to score before that. They've hit on their last 3 three-pointers and made 5 3-balls total in that first 10-minute segment. So Saints are off and running today. A long way to go in this game, but they've held their own early on, and that was a big challenge against a very good Indiana South Bend team, which not only hasn't lost a game yet this year, they have scarcely been threatened in conference play. They had a tight one against Governors State and a one-possession victory over Indiana Northwest just a couple of weeks ago, but other than that, almost everything has come by double figures. They have not been scared of their first loss very often this year. And so even though we're only 25% of the way through this game, the Fighting Saints have to feel good about the way things have started. They also, of course, if they want to keep the score around the area that it is, they're probably going to have to stay as hot as they've been from three-point range. In that first quarter, St. Francis 5 of 10 on threes, and IUSB was 1 of 7. Big part of the reason our score is where it is right now, and consider that of those 6 missed threes for IUSB, very few of them saw a shooter with a hand in her face. So if the Saints do want to keep up what they've started today, they'll probably have to pick up the defensive intensity just a little bit. 10 minutes gone, 17-15. St. Francis has the lead over Indiana South Bend. Leading scorer through 1 quarter of play for the Fighting Saints is Takara Harrison, who's got 9 points on 3 three-pointers. Lorelei Thormeyer has hit a pair of them. IUSB ball to start the second quarter. It's Phelps passing off to Fisher. A couple of dribbles for Fisher. Not really going anywhere so far. Finally flips it back to Phelps. Down to the corner, it's Watts. Jasmine Watts puts her back to the basket, pulls back out and throws it right into the hands of Kiki Gray. Ill-advised pass that time. Gray was all too happy to take control of possession. Thormeyer flips it over to Harrison. Harrison along the baseline, looks outside, finds Bolton. One more pass over to Thormeyer. Thormeyer pivots, turns in the paint, comes up a little bit short. Fight for the rebound, won by Gray. Falling out of bounds, she keeps it alive. Open look, Talia Pellegrini, no good. Fight for the rebound, another offensive board for the Fighting Saints. Thormeyer tries another 3, no good. Saints go 0 for 3 on the possession. A lot of good opportunities there, but they're not able to capitalize. Phelps on the outside for IUSB. The Titans can tie or reclaim the lead here. We've gone back and forth quite a bit early on, and we continue to as Fisher drills the three-pointer. Just the second three-pointer made this year by Emma Fisher. That's not typically her game. You could see the bench got fired up for South Bend. Finally, a three-pointer falls, and it comes from the most unlikely person on the floor. Thormeyer tries to answer. Air ball. So the script has been flipped here in the second quarter. Open shots are not falling for the Saints. A foul on her way to the basket will send Guard to the free throw line. That's Katie Guard. Katie Guard averages 16 points per game. Just slightly behind her twin sister Maddie. First shot is good for her. Both guards are in their fifth year here at IUSB. This was a really good South Bend team last year. We talked about all of the fifth-year players they have, all the experience on this roster. So they were really good last year. They brought back pretty much everybody, and then they threw Tenley Phelps in there as well. Phelps, a Division I transfer from Youngstown State. You can see why this team has been so good this year. Harrison drives and kicks. Thormeyer for three. Got it this time. Tied up at 20. Third three-pointer for Lorelei Thormeyer. The Titans just keep giving the Saints open threes. But Jasmine Watts, a nice step on Thormeyer on the other end, lays it in. I was just going to say, the Saints have been taking advantage of all their open looks. It's not a good three-point shooting team, although Thormeyer has been a little bit hotter of late. Typically, she has not shot all that well this year. The same could be said of Takara Harrison, who have both been really good so far today. Harrison drives and flips it in. We're tied at 22. If the Titans are going to keep giving those shots to the Saints, they'll take them. And so far, they've been making them. And that's the case for Jasmine Watts, who misses another open three. And a foul is called on South Bend. This one on Emma Fisher. First foul on Fisher. Georgia Bolton inbounds to Takara Harrison, in out of her hands. She is able to keep it alive, though, despite the defensive pressure. Here comes Thormeyer. Thormeyer drives, pulls up, kicks it out. Talia Pellegrini bounces down low. Nice positioning. Kiki Gray lays it in. Saints back in front. This has been a really good game so far. Slow starts offensively for both sides, but they've both picked it up. They're trading baskets. Hard fought, aggressive, physical game. And a lot of shots have been falling. Fisher underhanded outside to Phelps, and Phelps hits from three-point range. South Bend has the lead. 25-24, 6.5 minutes left in the first half. Georgia Bolton passes off to Takara Harrison, down low to Gray. Gray fights for position, lays it in, and one. Phelps hit the ground looking for a charge call, but she was right underneath the basket. Gray had position, and Gray's got a chance for a three-point play. It's the second foul on Phelps. Gray trying to make it a two-point lead, does just that. 27-25 our score. And again, that's IUSB's leading scorer, Phelps, who's now got two fouls. Nice pass from Phelps to Guard, but it's knocked loose by Harrison, and the Saints get the steal. Thormeyer off to Pellegrini. Talia Pellegrini stripped out of bounds by Guard. Pellegrini over to Harrison. Harrison thought about the shot. Instead, she works her way inside. Harrison spins into the paint, kicks to Thormeyer. Thormeyer drives, 15 on the shot clock, backs it up again. Katie Gard defending. Thormeyer around a screen to her left, pulls up at the free throw line. Jumper is short. Rebounded by Watts. 2-point deficit for IUSB with the ball. It's Sullivan Kessler. Kessler drives into the paint, kicks it out to an open shooter. Watts for three. No good. Just has not been Watts' night. 34% three-point shooter on the season. Watts has made just 1 of 6 so far in this game. Thormeyer gets inside, kicks out. Open look, Harrison. No good. Long rebound out to Maddie Gard. We've hit an impasse these last few minutes. IUSB trying to break the schneid, but a block out of bounds by Georgia Bolton. Nice defense by Bolton. Possession stays with IUSB. They've got 21 still on the shot clock, so close to a full possession still at their disposal. Kessler lobs it in for Katie Gard. Gard, step back three. Good. South Bend on top. 28-27, a 1-point game. Indiana South Bend led at one point 13-8. That's the only time that either one of these teams has led by more than one possession. Good pass from Kennelly into the cutting Harrison, and Takara Harrison lays it in. She's got 13 points already. She's ahead of her season average, not yet at halftime. She's accounted for nearly half of St. Francis' scoring. Pull-up jumper Fisher, can't reclaim the lead on that shot, but she does get her own rebound. Second chance for the Titans. It's Fisher again, a three-pointer is good. Emma Fisher has tripled her three-point production for the season in the first half of today's game. And she's been a godsend for South Bend, a team that typically is very good from the outside. Today hasn't been. Pellegrini, no good on the three. Out of bounds, last touched by the Saints. Fisher entering play today on the season was 1 of 3 from three-point range. Today she's 2 for 2. The rest of the team just 3 of 11. But Fisher's been magnificent so far in this game with 10 points. She averages 7 a game on the season. And the primary cause of Indiana South Bend's lead right now. Maddie Gard double teamed underneath the basket. She's stuck, flips it underneath the basket, keeps it alive. Fisher rolls it around the rim, doesn't fall. Gray grabs the rebound. Here's Thormeyer. Thormeyer pulls up, kicks out. Harrison, another wide open three. Too strong. Rebound, Maddie Gard. Gard drives, pulls up in front of the free throw line and rolls it in. South Bend back up by 4. Just 1 off of their biggest lead of the game. Just under 3 minutes to play in the first half. The Titans have actually been able to gain some ground here with Tenley Phelps on the bench with 2 fouls. Here's Gray, guarded by Ashley Schramm behind the three-point line. Thormeyer drives, pull up, mid-range jumper misses. Saints have gone ice cold, and Indiana South Bend has taken control of this game as a result. Kessler up top to Schramm. Ashley Schramm doesn't play big minutes, but out there today with the starting center in foul trouble. Katie Gard, three-pointer, good. 7-point lead for South Bend. An 8-0 run for the Titans, and it's their biggest lead today. That's 10 points for Maddie Gard. And a whistle blows an offensive foul. Saints hadn't even gotten the ball across half court yet. And a foul call on Takara Harrison, a long way from the ball. Saints are unraveling a little bit here late in the second quarter, and they're just trying to keep their heads above water prior to halftime. Lorelei Thormeyer takes a rare seat on the bench. Talia Pellegrini back in. Maddie Gard inside to Fisher. Here's Schramm. Ashley Schramm stripped, gets it back, flips it outside to Fisher. Jasmine Watts travels. A minute 51 to play in the first half. Thormeyer back on the floor. Takara Harrison sits down for the first time today. Georgia Bolton gets it into Thormeyer. Now we got a jump ball, possession arrow, St. Francis. Katie Gard got her hand on top of it. Saints will inbound it again. They're looking at the shot clock. No time ran off of it. Shouldn't have been more than a second, I don't think. Say 2 seconds before the call was made, so the shot clock is reset to 28. Maybe that's not good enough. The officials go over the scores table again to talk it over some more. Minute 49 to play in the first half. It's been a back and forth first half of this game. We've had 3 ties so far, 15 lead changes in this first half. But the lead right now belongs to South Bend, and it's the biggest they've had, as they have scored the last 8 points. St. Francis hasn't put the ball in the basket in about 3 minutes, and that's similar to what we saw in the first quarter. They went very cold right around the same point. They went 3.5 minutes without scoring, and then finally at the minute-and-a-half mark, they put the ball in the basket again, and then all of a sudden 3 threes over the course of about 70 seconds of game time. So we'll see if they've got a similar flourish to end the second quarter on. Georgia Bolton drives to the right side. Bolton kicks it over to Thormeyer. Here's Mia Kennelly. Kennelly pivots, passes back to the corner. Thormeyer, cross court, Pellegrini. Good look from 3. Rims out, offensive rebound. Gray back up, blocked by Schramm. Loose ball, brought in by Gray again. Second chance for her, no. Third chance for Gray, yes, and a foul. She just stuck with it. 3 straight offensive rebounds for Kiki Gray. So she builds her rebound tally, and now her points as well. She's got 9. Only 3 players have scored so far for St. Francis. Gray, Thormeyer, and Takara Harrison leads everybody with 13 points. And if they want to win this game in the second half, they're going to need contributions from a lot more than just those 3. But for this first half, it has been an exemplary performance from those 3 players to keep them alive in this game. 4-point lead for the Titans. This is Tenley Phelps back out there. Phelps can't connect from underneath, and Gray grabs the rebound. John McGinty implores Lorelei Thormeyer to slow it down as she walks across the timeline. Just about a minute to play in the half. Saints can make it a 1-possession game. Lorelei Thormeyer gets the screen, crosses to the free throw line, swings it around. It's Pellegrini, bounce down low for Gray. Phelps tries to rip it away from her, and she is able to force the shared possession. Possession arrow to Indiana South Bend. Saints turn it over. It's their 8th turnover of the half. Under a minute to go. This may be the last possession for South Bend unless they work quickly. Watts down in the corner, throws it up for grabs. Fisher's able to track it down. Emma Fisher passes over to Katie Gard down to the corner. Watts for 3. Another miss for Jasmine Watts, and Mia Kennelly grabs the rebound with the shot clock off. So the Saints can hold for the final shot here. And if they score, it will be a 1-possession game at halftime. Thormeyer backs it off to half court, shadowed by Fisher. Lorelei Thormeyer with under 10 to shoot now. Starts to direct her offense, makes a move to her left, crosses back over, finds Kennelly on the wing. 3-pointer, Mia Kennelly. No good, and over the backboard, out of bounds. So that'll end the first half. There is 1/10 of a second left. Not going to be enough time for IUSB to get another shot off. Saints were not able to end the second quarter with that same flourish they did in the first. Still, though, a nice defensive stand late in the first half. And they were able to get a big 3-point play from Kiki Gray following 3 straight offensive rebounds, and so we've got a good one into halftime. We'll start the second half with the visitors leading by 4 points, 36-32, for an Indiana South Bend team that has been beating their opponents by nearly 30 points per game. So a nice start today for St. Francis. They've got a long way to go, though. We've got 20 minutes of basketball coming up after a 15-minute halftime break. So stick with us. I'll be back to get your first half stats and second half action in a little bit. Halftime here at St. Francis, 36-32, South Bend on top. Halfway through today's CCAC basketball matchup between the Saints of St. Francis and the Titans of Indiana South Bend. 36-32, the visiting side. Titans have the lead so far. Terry Bonadonna with you for another half of basketball as we take a look at some of the stats from the first half. Indiana South Bend has the 4-point lead, so not a big shocker. They've shot the ball better than the Saints have. 45% to 38%. From three-point range, Indiana South Bend really struggled out of the gate. 1 of 7 in the first quarter, while the Saints went 5 of 10. That was completely reversed in the second half. The Titans went 5 for 8 on three-point, in the second quarter, I should say. The Titans went 5 of 8 in three-point range. The Saints just 1 of 9. So for the game, it's 40-32 percentage-wise in favor of South Bend. Individual stats right now. Kiki Gray's already got a double-double for the Fighting Saints, 10 points, 10 rebounds. Takara Harrison has scored 13 points. Lorelei Thormeyer has 9 for St. Francis. Those three players, Harrison, Thormeyer, and Gray, have gone a combined 12 of 25 for 32 points. The rest of the team 0 for 7, 0 points. Saints need some contributions from Georgia Bolton and Talia Pellegrini if they want to stay in this game in the second half. For South Bend, it's been a surprise performance from Emma Fisher that has kept them in the lead. Fisher, 5th leading scorer on the team on the season, averaging just 7 per game. Today she's got 7 points, 4 of 6 from the field. She's made 2 3-pointers today. She's 2 for 2. Just 1 of 3 on the season coming into play today. Jasmine Watts has 9 points for South Bend, though she has not shot as well. Just 1 of 7 from 3-point range. We're ready to go in half number 2. Starters are on the floor for each team. St. Francis is in possession. They're going from left to right here in the second half. And Georgia Bolton will inbound from the half-court stripe to get us rolling. First half saw 3 ties, 15 lead changes in the first 20 minutes. If we see anything close to that level of excitement in the second half, this is going to be a great game. St. Francis trying to deal Indiana South Bend their first loss of the season. Kiki Gray finds Takara Harrison on the wing, guarded closely by Jasmine Watts. Harrison splits the double team, kicks it out to Lorelei Thormeyer. Nice spin by Thormeyer. Finds Talia Pellegrini, 3-point range, short. Rebound goes to Katie Gard. No go for St. Francis on their first possession of the second half. 3-pointer Tenley Phelps is on the money. Quick start for South Bend. The game has been close, but the Saints have really struggled on offense of late. They have just 1 field goal in the last 5 minutes of game action. This is Thormeyer driving to the left. Thormeyer, leaner, no good, but she's fouled. Saints have had just 2 free throw attempts today. Both of them have come from Kiki Gray to cap off 3-point plays. Lorelei Thormeyer to the line for the first time. Not a ton of fouls in the first half for either side, as the Titans had just 4 free throws. That's the first miss of the game for either team. Thormeyer's not had a good shooting night. She's 3 of 10 from the field, but she does have those 9 points. 87% free throw shooter on the year, now has 10 points. The third Saint in double figures. Maddie Gard passes to her right. It's Katie Gard. Jasmine Watts for 3. Good. Back-to-back threes for Indiana South Bend. Jasmine Watts got open shot after open shot in the first half. And went just 1 of 7. If she heats up, the Saints are in big trouble. And they're already in a little bit of trouble right now, down by 9, their biggest deficit today. Georgia Bolton puts it on the floor. Bolton gets Maddie Gard in the air and throws it away. Intercepted by Watts. Here comes Phelps bouncing to Maddie Gard. Layup good. 11-point game, and John McGinty calls a timeout. 8:21 to play third quarter, and St. Francis is out of sorts to start this second half. They're struggling quite a bit on the offensive end. It's led to some quick points in transition for Indiana South Bend right there. Bolton drove, and it was a good drive from Georgia Bolton. You wonder why she was so hesitant to put the ball up. She got her defender in the air and then turned and kind of passed the ball to nobody. Bolton is a 9-point per game scorer. Talia Pellegrini averages 9.5 points per game. But neither one of them has been particularly aggressive with their shot. In Pellegrini's case, shots aren't falling. She's 0 of 3, all from 3-point range. But Georgia Bolton, who again averages 9 points per game and takes about 9 shots per contest, or 8 shots per contest anyway, only has 1 field goal attempt in today's game. So it's not just that shots aren't falling, but some of these players that the Saints are looking for contributions from haven't been as aggressive in trying to find their shots so far today. Still plenty of time to go in this game. The Saints aren't out of it by any stretch of the imagination, but again, just 1 field goal in the last now 6 minutes of game time for them. During that stretch, they've scored 4 points total. Mia Kennelly returned to the lineup for the Fighting Saints today. Kennelly played 8 minutes in the first half after missing the last 4 games. So it's been good that St. Francis is getting a little bit closer to full strength. But obviously they're not quite there yet. It's been primarily these 5 players on the floor. Milani Harris is in uniform today as well, but Harris has not played. Harris has been out for the better part of 2.5 months now. Thormeyer along the baseline, swings it around. It's Pellegrini, 3-pointer, short. Rebound Harrison. Another chance for St. Francis. One of the things that has kept them in the game. Offensive rebounds. And Harrison is fouled on her way to the basket. Foul called on Emma Fisher. That's Fisher's second. Inbounds play coming up from Lorelei Thormeyer. Thormeyer finds Gray cutting to the rim, and Gray is fouled by Tenley Phelps. That's a nice boost to St. Francis. Not only is Gray going to the line, but Phelps now has 3 fouls. Hasn't been a great game for Tenley Phelps. She does have 8 points, 3 of 7 shooting for her, but Saints have held her in check pretty well after the dominant performance she had against St. Francis in December. Gray misses the first free throw. Gray misses them both. Rebound knocked towards the baseline. Phelps somehow keeps it in bounds and does keep it alive for IUSB. Watts, 3-pointer. Rims out and stays out. Maddie Gard grabs the offensive rebound. New chance for IUSB. Gard drives, kicks into the corner. Emma Fisher penetrates. Back out to Maddie Gard. Jumper from the mid-range is good. Since halftime, Indiana South Bend has outscored St. Francis 7-1. Saints haven't been able to get much going from the field, but they haven't converted from the line either. 1 of 4 on free throws this half. Georgia Bolton's pass is deflected and stolen. Now the ball loose, and Takara Harrison keeps it alive. Harrison is fouled. Possession never actually changed hands. So IUSB didn't get a steal on the pass. It looked like they had one, but they all kind of took off. Nobody bothered to actually secure possession. Shot clock resets to 20 for St. Francis on the foul. No turnover committed by the Saints. And they'll get another chance to score here, down 13. 10-1 St. Francis has been outscored. I think I said 7-1. 10-1 since the start of the second half in just 3 minutes of play. Emma Fisher's getting her shoes tied before we resume activity here. Now all the laces secure. We ought to be ready to go. I don't know where the ball is. That's a prerequisite to get the game going again. The officials are having a little chat before the inbounds play here. Slow start to the second half with some of these stoppages. 4 fouls already called against Indiana South Bend, which means that the Saints will be going to the free throw line on any subsequent fouls in this quarter. I just mentioned a moment ago they haven't shot the ball well from the free throw line, just the same. And any opportunities they can get there, they'll take. Thormeyer dribbles it off to the left side, pulls up, passes out to Pellegrini. Three-pointer, no good. Talia Pellegrini 0 of 5 from three-point range today. Emma Fisher steps inside the arc. Fisher pulls up underneath the basket, throws it back top. That's Maddie Gard. Gard crosses over on Bolton. Good defense from Bolton, but Gard finishes anyway. Strong drive, Maddie Gard. A nice touch on the jumper. She's got 16 points. The lead is up to 15 for IUSB. And the Saints can't match their offense right now. Just not enough shooters on the floor. Here's Pellegrini over to Thormeyer. Thormeyer hasn't scored from the field since the first quarter after a hot start. Picks up her dribble here, bounces to Harrison behind her, and the pass is taken away by Jasmine Watts. Watts leads the charge for IUSB, fading away. She banks it in. 11 for Jasmine Watts. It's actually 14 now for Jasmine Watts. 17-point lead for Indiana South Bend. Saints don't have a field goal yet this half. Talia Pellegrini into Kiki Gray. Gray double teamed out to Thormeyer, three-pointer. Finally a shot falls for the Fighting Saints. Just their second field goal in the last 10 minutes. And it comes at a much needed time. Down by 14. Thormeyer's fourth three of the game. Ball poked loose by Gray, taken away by the Saints. Here's Talia Pellegrini. Pellegrini has it knocked away, but off of her own foot, out of bounds. Mia Kennelly checks in for the Saints. Timeout called. 5:22 to play, third quarter. 50-36, Indiana South Bend has the lead. Saints kept it close for the whole first half. In fact, they had the lead for much of the first half. Well, one thing I said early in this game is that at the end of the first quarter, St. Francis had the lead. And at the time, I said if they want to keep it, they're going to have to keep their shooting up. Because South Bend, for the most part, just has them outmanned right now. The Saints are operating with a very short bench, and South Bend is operating with a short bench as well. Naturally, they don't play a lot of players. Neither of these teams do. But Indiana South Bend is a much better offensive team in general than St. Francis is. And if the Saints want to pull the upset, you figure it's going to have to be because a couple of players have huge shooting nights. And after starting the game so well, it just hasn't carried over. The Saints were 5 of 10 from three-point range in that first quarter, but since then they're 2 of 13. Since the end of the first, they are 7 of 23 overall from the field. Despite that, they're not out of it, down by 14 with just over 15 minutes to play in the game. The opportunities still are going to be there for them to make a run. But they're going to have to find some kind of offensive spark. The defense hasn't been bad. This is a South Bend team that scores about 85 points per game. So even though they've put together a pretty good offensive showing so far, they're still short of their season average pace. So it's hard to fault the Saints defense right now. Down to the corner, it's Gard. Passing outside to Kessler. Bounce to the free throw line. Maddie Gard into Tenley Phelps. Phelps is called for the offensive foul, and that's number 4 on her.
Indiana South Bend foul number 34, Tenley Phelps, her third. Team foul.
So 4 fouls on Phelps now, 3 on Fisher. We'll check that, it's only 3 on Phelps. So 3 on Phelps, 3 on Fisher. There's some foul trouble on the IUSB side right now, but not as bad as I thought before. Talia Pellegrini drives, dishes it out to Lorelei Thormeyer. Thormeyer steps it back, slows down. 8 to shoot. Mia Kennelly feigns the 3, steps inside, finds an open shooter. Thormeyer can't knock it down. Rebound, Maddie Gard. Gard takes it all the way inside before kicking out to Katie Gard, and Gard misses the three-pointer badly. Rebound chased down by Maddie Gard. Sullivan Kessler resets for IUSB, ahead by 14. Turnaround for Phelps is good. And Tenley Phelps is into double figures with 10 points. Thormeyer crosses to her right. Thormeyer pulls up at the elbow, gives it to Harrison up top. Down low, Kiki Gray can't roll it in. Rebound knocked out of bounds by the team in black. Georgia Bolton back in. Pellegrini is out for the Fighting Saints. Their officials conversation here. 3:51 to play in the third quarter. 16-point lead for Indiana South Bend, 52-36. They have pulled away here in the second half. Saints led by 2 at the end of the first quarter, trailed by 4 at halftime. Indiana South Bend's offense has gotten a little bit better each quarter so far. 15 in the first, 21 points in the second, 16 so far in the third, with a long way still to go. Chased down by Georgia Bolton. No backcourt violation for the Saints. Bolton takes it inside. Bolton flips it to the rim. No good. And a foul is called. Phelps hit the ground hard there. She's grabbing at the back of her head. I believe Phelps was called for the foul there based on her position on the floor. Teams are sent off to their bench while Phelps gets looked at. Indiana South Bend is over the foul limit for the quarter. St. Francis has not committed one yet, and that's a tough take for Tenley Phelps as Georgia Bolton came driving in. Phelps appeared to have her feet set, but was standing right underneath the basket at the time. Bolton, who just said a few moments ago, has been a little bit passive on the offensive end for the most part today. That time decided to take it all the way in herself. And the aggressive play created some opportunities for herself. As Phelps took the charge, though, she ended up falling to the ground. And a tough fall for her. She's now sitting up once again. She gets administered to by the training staff underneath the Indiana South Bend basket. 3:41 to play, third quarter. IUSB 52, St. Francis 36. Well, the players and coaches on both sides of the floor today wearing black t-shirts saying this game is no secret. St. Francis and Indiana South Bend are both participating in the annual This Game is No Secret initiative, organized by the coaches at Eracism. Goes back to an event in 1944 when North Carolina Central took on Duke in a secret game that would not have been allowed in the South because of Jim Crow laws. And it was a long time still before the college game was segregated in the South. So that secret game opened a lot of doors and still being honored today by all the players and coaches on both sides. Tenley Phelps is up and walking off the floor. So she took a tough fall, but able to stay in it. And the foul was called on St. Francis. Didn't see what the initial call was. I had thought initially they had called it on IUSB. Finally, the call has been made on Georgia Bolton on the charge. Well, for Tenley Phelps, at least it does not add insult to injury. She was able to go down having taken a charge. It's a turnover for St. Francis. And Indiana South Bend has possession with their 16-point lead. Sullivan Kessler down to the corner, Jasmine Watts. This is Maddie Gard double teamed. Swung around, Kessler pulls up at the free throw line. Kessler's jumper misses. Ashley Schramm grabs the rebound. Second chance, no. Third chance, yes. Lorelei Thormeyer over to Mia Kennelly. Kennelly hounded by Kessler. Finds Harrison on the left wing. Takara Harrison puts it on the floor. Harrison gets around a couple of defenders and banks it in. Beautiful drive from Harrison. 15 points for her. Watts quickly on the other end, streaks down and lays it in. Timeout called by St. Francis with 2:43 to play in the third quarter. Indiana South Bend pulling away in this game. Their 4-point halftime lead is up to 18. And they have scarcely missed here in this second half after struggling to shoot early on. They've turned it around. 9 of 13 from the field so far this half. Since a bad start, mostly behind the three-point line early on, they're 7 of their last 12 from three-point range and 23 for their last 37 overall. One of the stories in that first quarter is that IUSB was getting a lot of open shots. They just weren't falling. And over the course of 40 minutes, those things tend to even out if you get that many good looks. And in this case, over the course of 27 minutes plus, those numbers start to even out if you get enough opportunities. Thormeyer fires to Kennelly through her hands, but she keeps it alive. Mia Kennelly dribbles into a double team, stripped by Kessler. Kennelly gets it back and throws it off the foot of Jasmine Watts. It's still the Saints ball. 14 on the shot clock. Thormeyer to Gray, flipped into the corner. Lorelei Thormeyer three-pointer, rolls it in. 5th three-pointer made today by Lorelei Thormeyer. She's got a team-high 16 points, trying to keep the Saints in it. Katie Gard trying not to let the Saints stay in it. She misses the three. Here comes St. Francis, turning it over. Thormeyer's pass intercepted by Maddie Gard. Gard's fouled. Lorelei Thormeyer's called for her first foul. Number 2 on St. Francis. 2 shots for Maddie Gard, who's got 16 points to lead the Titans tonight. She misses the first free throw. Gard's a good foul shooter, 78%. She makes 1 of 2. St. Francis has finished periods strong today. See if they can do that again right here. Keep themselves alive in this game heading into the last quarter. Gray hands it to Thormeyer, another three-pointer. Not this time. Halfway down, didn't fall. Ashley Schramm's rebound flipped over to Kessler. Sullivan Kessler jump stop in the paint. No good off the bank. Another rebound for Schramm, knocked out of her hands and out of bounds. Schramm's been aggressive on the boards in replacing Tenley Phelps. Keeps the possession alive here for IUSB with 20 to shoot. Katie Gard traveled. Thormeyer trots across half court, tries to hand it to Kennelly, knocked away by Kessler. Kennelly gets it back, a nice feed to Thormeyer, but the shot is blocked right back to Mia Kennelly. Down to the corner, it's Akara Harrison for 3, no. Rebound Georgia Bolton, it won't count. The loose ball foul is called on Kiki Gray. Foul was called on Kennelly rather than Gray. It's her second. And it's South Bend ball. Maddie Gard gives it to Katie Gard. Here's Kessler. Down low, Maddie Gard, one dribble, layup, no. Gets her own miss. Another chance for IUSB. Katie Gard, jumper off the mark, rebounded by Mia Kennelly. Saints trail by 16 late in the third quarter. Takara Harrison drives around Schramm and lays it in. 17 for Takara Harrison. Just a 1 second difference between shot and game clock, but Jasmine Watts fires a quick one and misses the three. Chance for St. Francis to end this period with 4 or 5 points in a row. Down by 14 right now. Takara Harrison waits for the clock to run down under 10 seconds before she puts the ball on the floor. Now she does make a move, 6 seconds on the clock. Harrison outside Kennelly, three-pointer, good! And that'll end the third quarter with St. Francis cutting a 16-point deficit down to 11 over the final minute. 10 minutes of basketball still to be played. It's not over yet. It looked like it was trending in that direction. And Indiana South Bend ended the quarter cold and allowed St. Francis back into it a little bit. Anytime you can get a shot on offense, you don't want to discourage your team from taking it, but Indiana South Bend did get the ball back essentially with no shot clock. There was only about a second difference, so if they wanted to hold for one, they absolutely had the opportunity to do so. And instead, they took a quick shot, not necessarily a great shot at that stage of the shot clock, and it gave the ball back to St. Francis. With a double-digit lead, they could have guaranteed themselves at least a 14-point advantage going into the third quarter, or going into the fourth quarter. And instead, because of the quick shot, it essentially resulted in a turnover, and it gave St. Francis the opportunity to inch a little bit closer. So the Saints were able to walk through that door, keep themselves alive, down by 11. Tenley Phelps took a hard fall late in that third quarter. Came up rubbing her head and had to sit down the rest of the third. We'll see if she's able to go, and hopefully she is okay, but if she has to spend a significant amount of time on the bench in this fourth quarter, that certainly does benefit St. Francis. Phelps has 10 points today for Indiana South Bend. Titans shooting 47% from the field through three quarters. Saints are at 38%. Mia Kennelly's three-pointer at the buzzer there. First points of the game for anybody other than Harrison, Thormeyer, and Gray, who combined on the first 43 points today for the Fighting Saints. Phelps is back on the floor for IUSB. 5 starters out there for St. Francis. South Bend basketball to start the fourth. It'll be Jasmine Watts to inbound. Maddie Gard, a late addition to the lineup to start this fourth quarter. I think she was putting a Band-Aid on her hand is what it looked like. She's back out there now. Emma Fisher spent some time on the bench with 3 fouls, but she's back on the floor now. Maddie Gard shimmies her way inside, finds Phelps. What do we have, a whistle and a 3-second call on IUSB. Just 14 seconds gone. 3 of those 14 seconds were spent in the paint. So the Saints can cut it down to single digits on this possession. For as well as IUSB has played since the end of the first quarter, they haven't been able to put St. Francis away. Now we'll see if the Saints have the shooting touch they need to complete the comeback here in the fourth. Lorelei Thormeyer around a screen. Passes off to Pellegrini. Fired down low. Gray flips it up and in. Kiki Gray's first points of the second half. Just a 9-point game. Kessler bounces to Fisher. Here's Phelps. Phelps on the elbow. Kicks it outside to the wide open Sullivan Kessler, who elects not to shoot. Instead, it's Phelps, and Phelps knocks it down from the free throw line. So Kessler had a wide open look from the outside. She decided against the shot and instead found a better one for Phelps, who now has 12 points in the game. Saints ball, 11-point game. Maddie Gard had to check out, got that hand wrapped up a little bit more, and she's right back at the scorer's table. to re-enter the game. Pellegrini floats it off the backboard, no good, and Phelps knocks the rebound out of bounds. A weird play from Phelps there. Didn't look like there was any pressure on her. Kiki Gray was trying to work her way and almost went over the back of Fisher. But Phelps was all alone and just kind of batted it out of bounds. Usually a very good rebounder. Thormeyer's inbounds pass is deflected right back out by Watts. Saints will do it again. This time it'll be Gray, the trigger man. Lobbed in high, and Harrison's able to pull it in. Right back down low to Gray into the corner. Pellegrini gets the three. Shot's been there all night for Pellegrini. Finally gets one to go. Her first points. 8-point game. Watts in response. 11-point game. Jasmine Watts has 16 now for Indiana South Bend. She's found her shooting touch after a slow start. Takara Harrison answers with three more. All of a sudden, we got a three-point shooting contest here. 20 points for Harrison. 8-point game once again. This time it's Maddie Gard, and she hits the three. 4 straight three-pointers have been made. Timeout called with 8:01 left, 65-54, Indiana South Bend. Long way to go in this game. The Saints have found their shooting stroke that they've been looking for since the end of the first quarter, but Indiana South Bend is heating up again right at the same time, and every time the Saints take a step forward, IUSB pushes them right back to where they were. Still an 11-point game with 8 minutes left. Not a terrible position for the Fighting Saints to be in against one of the top teams in the country. Indiana South Bend has not lost this year. 20-0, 12-0 in conference games. Didn't play an extremely difficult non-conference schedule this year. So they're still working on gaining traction in terms of their national reputation. But they are a team that figures to easily walk into the national tournament coming up in March. Trying to put themselves in position for an undefeated regular season and make a run through the CCAC tournament as well. It's coming up in just a little less than a month. Lorelei Thormeyer finds her way down low and throws the pass away. Intercepted by Katie Gard. Crucial turnover committed by St. Francis. Gard drives, lays it up and in. That's Katie Gard now with 7 points. South Bend's lead is back up to 13. It's been as big as 18 in today's game. Saints were able to cut that 18-point lead a little bit more than in half. But IUSB has scored the last 5, and now another steal. Maddie Gard rips it away from Lorelei Thormeyer. Gard back to Gard, and Maddie Gard pulls it outside. 20 to shoot. 7 minutes to play in the game. Here's Jasmine Watts. Watts fires off to her right. Pull up for Katie Gard is good. She scored 4 in a row, hadn't been all that active offensively in this game prior to this stretch, but now she's up to 9 points. The lead is 15, a 7-0 run for IUSB. Talia Pellegrini hounded by Jasmine Watts. And a timeout, I think, was called from the St. Francis bench. 30-second timeout with 6:31 to play. 15-point game. Saints got hot, hitting back-to-back three-pointers. Talia Pellegrini got one. Takara Harrison got one. Harrison's having a whale of a ball game today. 8 of 13 shooting for 20 points. And she has been exceptional from beyond the arc. 4 of 8. Just a 23% three-point shooter for the year, so she has stepped up in a big way. Thormeyer's had a great game shooting from beyond the arc, 5 of 11. Another one who does not shoot at a really high percentage for the season, although it has gone steadily up over the course of the year. Got off to a really slow start this year. She's been shooting better. Saints have attempted 33 pointers today. More than 60% of their shots. It's tough to work inside against IUSB, especially without Bailey Johnson in the lineup. Takara Harrison and Mia Kennelly nearly run into each other. Possession kept alive, though. It's Harrison driving. Harrison takes the contact and scores the right hand. 2 more for Takara Harrison. Now 22 points on 9 of 14 from the field. Tenley Phelps underneath. Layup is good. Harrison dribbles to the right. Harrison backs in, kicks out to the corner. Thormeyer misses the 3 this time, and Phelps grabs the rebound. All the way down the floor, Maddie Guard, layup is good. Went one-on-one with Lorelei Thormeyer. And Indiana South Bend now just slowly salting it away. Their 18-point lead was cut down to 8, but now it's almost all the way back. 73 to 56. Harrison step back 3, got it. Everything's going for Takara Harrison tonight. She is almost single-handedly keeping the Saints alive in this game right now. 73 to 59, 25 points for Takara Harrison. Kessler to the corner and Watts. Fisher has it knocked away by Kennelly, but a foul is called. 5:02 to play. First foul called this quarter. Number 3 on Mia Kennelly. Indiana South Bend will inbound from the baseline, and a quick layup for Maddie Guard. Nice find on the inbounds play. The lead is 16 for IUSB. Just no slowing down this Titans offense right now. They have gotten better offensively in every quarter. Kennelly at the top. Dribbles into the paint, kicks it out to Pellegrini, into the corner, Georgia Bolton. Bolton, pull up, baseline jumper, well short. Titans are in control now. Slowing things down just a touch. Phelps takes it in on Gray. Phelps, other side of the basket, no good off the back iron. Rebound tipped into the hands of Talia Pellegrini. Harrison, back to Pellegrini, 3, no. Rebound knocked out, last touched by Phelps of IUSB. 4 minutes to play. Thormeyer in for Kennelly. Katie Guard is in for Kessler. Men's game coming up next, about a half hour after this one ends. St. Francis and IUSB, part 2. That was a good one the last time those 2 teams met. Harrison dishes it out to Thormeyer. Lorelei Thormeyer turns and fires, pass deflected and stolen by Jasmine Watts. Watts lobs it ahead for Fisher, and Emma Fisher lays it in. Those are the first points of the second half for Fisher, who's not typically a big scorer for IUSB, but scored 10 points in the first half today and has gone back to her usual role in the second half. And when you look at championship teams, you often see games like the one that Fisher has had tonight. When the shots aren't falling for the usual suspects, somebody else steps up. Now in the second half, the shots have been falling for the usual players, and so Fisher has just kind of receded into the background, right back into her typical role with this team. Still She's had a nice game with 12 points. Indiana South Bend now leads at 77-59. They've matched their biggest lead of the game at 18 points, and we're now right around where we were the last time these two teams played. It was a very different game. South Bend blitzed St. Francis out of the gate in that one, and then the Fighting Saints held their own pretty well in the second half, but it was already a double-digit deficit by that point. South Bend won at 86-69, so that was a 17-point margin. This one, an 18-point margin right now. Already 20 points in the fourth quarter for Indiana South Bend. They made their first 6 shots from the field in this quarter, and they're now 8, or make that 9 of 10 shooting in the fourth. And it was just a backbreaker for St. Francis because the Saints were making their run. They had gotten to within 8, and then South Bend just refused to miss. When you have a team shooting the ball like that, there's only so much you can do. Georgia Bolton over to Harrison. Cross court, Pellegrini for 3. Air ball. Rebound lost out of bounds. It stays with the Saints. 16 on the shot clock. Harrison on the floor, drives, layup, good. Right around Maddie Guard. Nice drive to Cara Harrison. If nothing else comes out of today for St. Francis, if Harrison can play this way down the stretch, that's a big-time scorer for St. Francis. She's been outstanding. 27 points in the game. Step back, air ball for Fisher. Phelps grabs the rebound, and she's fouled, going right back up with it.
St. Francis foul number 10, Georgia Bolton, her third, team second. Tenley Phelps to the line for 2.
First foul shot is good for Phelps. Slow start today for Tenley Phelps after she dominated St. Francis last time these two teams met. She's bounced back nicely and has actually put together a good game. Still below her season average. She scores 20 a game. And today she's at 16, but it looked early on like the Saints might be bottling her up. She's been very productive in the second half. Lorelei Thormeyer's been productive all game. She's hit 6 3-pointers now, and she's got 19 points for the Fighting Saints. She and Harrison have combined to score 46 today. Saints just haven't had enough contributions from the rest of the lineup. Watts over to Guard. Fisher in the corner with 10 to shoot. Fired outside, Maddie Guard, back down low, Phelps. 5 seconds, Fisher gives it inside to Phelps, and Phelps is called for the offensive foul. That'll be number 4 on Phelps, after I erroneously called her for her 4th a little earlier. "15-point game, just about 2 minutes to go. See if the Saints have one last big push in them. Harrison, corner, Thormeyer, 3-pointers off the side of the backboard. It doesn't look like they've got that one last big run in them. Maddie Guard and company can run a half-minute off the clock here if they want to. Guard takes some time before giving it up to Phelps at the top of the key. 15 to shoot. Fisher, pull up from the elbow, passes back. Katie Guard, guarded by Bolton, 7 seconds on the clock. Katie Guard, pull up short, rebound Bolton. Bolton runs with it. Ahead for Pellegrini. Pellegrini lays it up and in. Guard walks it across half court. Fired down to the corner. It's Katie Guard working around the perimeter. Bolton went after the pass. Maddie Guard was able to pull it in. Titans can run it down under a minute on this possession. Phelps takes a step inside and lays it in. So we are now under a minute to play. Takara Harrison with 27 points in the game. Takes a three-pointer from up top, off the rim, no good. Rebound, Katie Gard. And that should just about do it. South Bend will take one last possession to run some clock here. Trying to get a few more points on the board. Saints gave them a tough battle today, but the Titans were able to pull away in the second half. And they are going to leave Joliet with another double-digit win. Phelps fakes the three, drives, kicks into the corner. Fisher with the shot clock running down, finds Phelps, and Phelps hits the short-range jumper with the shot clock running down. And how about that? She has hit her season scoring average again. 20 points in the game for Phelps. The majority of those coming here in the second half. She only hit 5 at halftime. Thormeyer pull-up jumper misses shorts, and that'll finish things off. 83-66 for the second time this year. Indiana South Bend defeats St. Francis by 17 points. Nice effort from the Fighting Saints tonight. They fought hard. They had the lead at the end of one quarter. We saw 15 lead changes in the first half. Indiana South Bend was up by 4 at halftime, and then they blitzed the Saints right out of the gate when we started that second half. It was never really a game after that. The Saints did make a run early fourth quarter, but couldn't hold IUSB on the defensive end. And that was your game right there as South Bend hit their first 6 shots of the fourth quarter and pulled away as a result. 83-66 our final. The Titans improved their record on the season to 21-0. St. Francis takes their second consecutive loss. They fall to 4-9 in CCAC play. They came into today tied with St. Ambrose at 4-8 for 8th place in the conference. Of course, the top 8 teams make it into the conference tournament. So that's going to be a fight over the last couple of weeks of this season for St. Francis as they try to secure their position in that conference tournament, which is set to begin in about 4 weeks' time. Saints are back on the road this weekend at Olivet Nazarene, but after that, 4 of their final 6 games are at home. So they've got some opportunities here on their home floor to gain some ground in those conference standings. We'll see if they're able to do it. The loss today drops them to 8-13 overall on the season, and they have now lost 7 of their last 8 games overall. Today's leading scorer was Takara Harrison, 27 points on 11 of 17 shooting. It wasn't just her shooting today. She also led the team with 5 assists. Kiki Gray had a double-double, 12 points, 10 rebounds. She had 10 and 10 at halftime, just 2 points, no rebounds in the second half. Playing big minutes now with Bailey Johnson injured. She has had to step up her role quite a bit, 38 minutes, and just ran out of steam a little bit in that second half. Still a nice game for her. Lorelei Thormeyer hit 6 3-pointers today. She finished the game with 19 points. For Indiana South Bend, 21 points for Maddie Gard. Tenley Phelps finished with 20 points. Gard had a double-double, 10 rebounds to go along with her 21. They also got 17 from Jasmine Watts. Got off to a rough start shooting-wise, but she turned it up in the second half. Overall numbers, 41% from the field for St. Francis, 54% for Indiana South Bend, 11 of 14 shooting in the fourth quarter as they pulled away in this game. Once again, the 83-66 win for South Bend improves their record to 21-0 on the season. Saints fall to 8-13. That's going to do it for today's broadcast. Saints are on the road on Saturday. They return home on Wednesday. That'll be our next broadcast of St. Francis basketball 1 week from today, a 5 o'clock start time for that game. Men's game's coming up next, St. Francis against Indiana South Bend, so join us for that as well. We'll be starting right around probably about 7:05. So the Saints will try to salvage one from their doubleheader today. The men's game, St. Francis against Indiana South Bend, coming up next. Our next broadcast of women's basketball 1 week from today. Thanks for tuning into this one. We'll wrap things up here. A 17-point loss for the Fighting Saints. Until next time, Terry Bonadonna signing off for the moment. We'll talk again soon.